Navi started fight. I'm sorry. VZN, though, with a great fight off of that and not getting third party does highlight how some of these squads, like Scars, are just looking to stay put in that next circle positioning. They're not risking giving away any free real estate because, again, it just works into their team comp. It works into the plan that they want here. So they're just going to be able to stay put inside of those buildings, looking at the way that other teams are going to be rotating through that choke point that's to the south of them, leaving Mill, wondering which of those other squads are going to meet up with VZN, because although VZN are inside a building, they're not rocking the Watson. It's not like they need to bunker down exactly. They can hang out on top of these rocks to have the high ground advantage and to pressure out the likes of any team that is rotating through that choke point that you see Nag shooting at.
I mean, you can basically be a menace to society at these points. I've actually kind of reviewed these buildings. I believe there's approximately 14 different entryways between the doors and the windows of those cluster of buildings on the south of checkpoint, and it's just not a place that you want. But Alliance right now still hanging out near the wall, trying to make their way into that next zone, but it's kind of spicy. I'm actually liking what I'm seeing. Sure, they're currently sitting in 11th after map number 1, but this is the moment, right? They looked a lot better. That fight against Navi before Navi decided to disengage with that skyward dive, and you can see Alliance right now headed to the skies as well, so they need to get a good position. But the question is, how much real estate is going to be available? A lot of these teams that are playing more zone have already kind of set up shop, and they're claiming that moment. But this is where the spiciness comes into play.
Absolutely, and because they want to rotate towards checkpoint, since this is where the circle is going to be pulling, they're going to be forced to rotate from the low to high ground. You could expect squads to already take up the real estate that is already in checkpoint. You could expect squads to be on the outskirts of the building, because usually for a circle like this, we usually see it pulling south of checkpoint. So going through this choke point, at least from the north side, you won't have too many squads trying to contest you. As you can see, Navi already getting a knock onto Echo, who have been getting contested for the last 2 games, like we said before, off of RIP. They lose out on one of their teammates. They're looking to see if they have an opportunity to escape through this alleyway, because Navi's got their number, they've got their heads, and they have the information to pinpoint exactly where they're at.
Look, I do not like fighting in these bunkers, right? And this is a spicy moment, because you can see Echo Esports has already utilized their exhibit. Now Navi gonna pull out their own and be able to just descend upon them. Nades ensuing. Yeah, you're gonna try to counteract that with the black hole, but that's only 180 HP. They're gonna take it down like it's no problem. Use all the grenades you want, but the issue with this is it's going to be incredibly loud, and the moment you take over this bunker fight and you win that, you're gonna have another team say, hey, I'm gonna come take over what you just got as well, because we are on that outside of the zone, and there is the ability for people to still try to push in there. But the fact is, Echo Esports is bunkered down in there with nowhere to go. It's like, I don't know, fish in a bowl at this point, and you've got a shark looking to grab you.
Navi's hungry. You can see the pings going down. They see and pinpoint that there is a squad on the outskirts, maybe trying to take advantage of this position. Because like you mentioned, Tiff, you have this fight going on. You're making a lot of noise. You're playing by the edge of the circle, and this is going to work into the game plan of Alliance. It's a game ward who like to play on the edge more so than not. So Navi, understanding the situation, are looking to their backs, are looking in front of them, looking around the corner saying, we still see you. We know that you're waiting on an opportunity. So they're not going to fully send it inside of the bunker, even if they're playing at an advantage in terms of their number advantage, but they're hungry. They don't want to give up. You can see Sean actually taking a lot of damage, looking to back off just right now, but he's out of their line of sight, and he's allowing the rest of Navi to kind of bait them to actually funnel outside.
I think it's one of those moments where you just have to ask yourself, is this 2 eliminations worth me potentially getting taken out of the game right now? Like, will I be okay with that? And that's when you have to worry, like, maybe I should just disengage and start my rotation. But coming on over to V2, living their best life, just trying to make their way in, but Vex Gaming, no stranger to the aggressive nature, making light work of Fire Beavers. I believe there's just one left standing that they need to go ahead and fight, and you're just going in as a trio trying to take them out. They have all the information available to them. Matafe with that wingman going out, and all they wrote for Fire Beavers. That's a scary sight. Let me just tell you, Vicky, the moment that Vex has you in their sight, they've already taken down 2 of you, and you're the last one trying to disengage. You're not going anywhere, whether it's Corpa or Fire Beavers. You're not surviving.
And they needed that there too. Of course, we saw earlier on that Vex Gaming going down a lot earlier than we were expecting in that first game. And after cleaning up some KP, you can hear the pings going down before they're able to replenish all their material. You can see the car in the hands of Tyler, who had an amazing first day as an individual player popping off. He's got the gold extended light mag as well too. While they're in the middle of this rotation, why don't we take a look and jump into a listen with Vex Gaming while they plan their next move?
They can walk up through zone as well, don't forget.
I don't see anyone playing this.
This direction calls.
I'm gonna check out back 1 sec then.
Let us go.
There's
right
the
there, clear.
team playing right, we should just clean the
This
kill
direction.
this
I
building.
don't see anyone. I don't see anyone prowlers.
Yeah, I'm gonna scan these buildings.
I'm just fucked up with me.
I've seen next zone, to be honest.
I'm just a bit scared some bits.
I'm gonna slide down a bit and scan. Yeah, this is all free for now.
Nice.
Yeah? Everything?
These two buildings, yeah. Like, we need to clear that out and like
Flame draws me this way.
we have so many options there. We should go now. Like, we just saw like all of this is free, so we have like a minute time before anyone can TP.
Yeah.
Just watch out this cross here, watch out this cross here.
I'm just taking out back one more time, okay?
No, come down.
People might think running here. Look.
Yeah.
Running here.
I'm away.
Get to the building first,
Yeah, we can 100%. But they're running around. Yeah, they're running around.
and we can mirror them. Are they
They're
fighting
fighting.
here?
Wait, they're fighting in here. Yeah, fighting in there.
Yeah, go close. There's no
I'm
knocks
walking
here.
I'm pretty sure they've been fighting for so long, actually.
Yeah, there's PK fight.
I'm coming.
One guy got thirsted. We wanna TP this, but then we wanna come back out here, okay? We don't wanna
yeah.
play the building.
Yeah.
Caustic chops. Watch out for caustic chops. It's a caustic
Yeah,
team
I'm still
inside.
thinking.
Yeah.
I'm getting scouted.
Windows?
Careful.
It's still 2 teams, guys.
Yeah, I don't think we fight this.
Watch out,
We're getting
watch
shot
out.
by 4 teams. We'll come back.
Okay, I'm holding blind, okay? I'm
I'm gonna
gonna...
get knocked.
You good,
Oh
Tyler?
my
Yes.
god.
We
Yeah, we
need
need to. Anyone have a medkit? I have syringes.
Hey,
I'm
guy on the bridge! Fuck, you need to shoot for me right now. No, actually, I think we're fine here.
We have to check if there's not...
They just wiped it. Wait, let me get a scan in. Watch that. Let me get a scan. Just let me get a
Okay,
scan.
I'm watching
Go
back.
watch left because I'm healing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think they're committing now fully. Can we just run in together?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you see
Oh,
us? Can you see us?
No, it's still two teams.
Vex Gaming, with all the comms in the world, to disengage, re-engage, seeing that they're put into a pretty difficult situation with another squad to their left. This is the risk that you run if you try to fully send it into a fight, maybe try to time a third party inside these buildings that we already knew that a lot of these teams made and took their time into getting there first before all these other teams were forced to rotate on the outskirts of the circle. You can see Vex Gaming now putting down some pings onto a squad to their left. It looks like their backs are clear to the right, but if they do get stuck here, this is going to be an easy choke point for the other squads inside these buildings to force their way out.
Yeah, I think they realized that had they pushed in there, they were going to get completely sandwiched, and Vex is doing the right thing here. They've got a line of sight on a team on the outsides. It's going to be game mode. They don't even have the advantage because Yolu is out. It's going to be a 2v3, and Psychop right now is going to be forced to put as much damage as they can down. But you know when Vex Gaming has you in their sight, there's nothing you can do to combat their aggressive nature because they are just absolutely flowing right now. And sure, they've only been with Vex for about 5 months right now, formerly Bosch, but Aimbot going to fall. That means Psychop, last person standing here for the Game Lord team. Can you combat this in the 1v3? It would be a miracle, but Vex Gaming going to take down Game Lord, done and dusted, and they took minimal damage while doing so, and they're going to reap the rewards. They get the splendor, the loot, and they're still alive. The question is, will there be a third party, or are you going to have to push into that chokehold where all that chaos was standing?
I think they took that fight fast enough to at least avoid and ward off any third-party potential. We do know that there are other squads that like to hang out on the edge of this circle, but they're not going to get pushed for right now. They saw the advantage, saw the man advantage that they had, and fully capitalized onto Game Lord, as we can see a fight happening in Checkpoint where the circle is going to be pulling away. Yeah, only a little sliver of Checkpoint is in that next circle, but with so many other squads making the rotation from the north side of Checkpoint, such as Alliance that we tuned into earlier after they used the Skyward Dive, and I believe one other team that's sharing up this real estate, Horizon, are looking to inch their way into that next circle, but they have to first make sure that their backs are cleared off.
Well, I mean, if you're going to hold the top at checkpoint here, you need to hold this for as long as possible. But the issue is when that ring starts to pull, are you going to be forced off the high ground? Because I feel like you need to take it and get out of there sooner rather than later. Because the moment that you go to jump in, all of the eyes are going to be on you. But look who's in an engagement already. It's going to be Navi. It's going to be Vex. And Navi looking a little worse for wear right now. But shroud right now trying to put as much damage down as possible. Following up with a nice stick. If you're going to get him, you've got to get that stick onto him. Now Vex going to have a very hard time as Unlucky falls down.
True to his name, as Vex Gaming get deleted here, Navi had a bit of the edge though in terms of information, because this is the team that was playing on the edge, looking on the outskirts at the Vex versus Game Word fight originally. So they knew that Vex wanted to rotate in this direction. They didn't want to rotate through the choke point, that this chaos is going down. And as Nightmare Esports are playing inside the outskirts of one of these buildings, watch out for those art stars though. You gotta juggle it like you're in a circus. They're gonna be backing up after getting some of that information with that exhibition, but now getting out of that range, they're just looking to reset, looking to their backs to make sure that no other squad wants to rotate around this rock, because if they're forced to go into this next circle, they want to go through this position because they're already going to get gate kept by the other teams inside of the buildings.
Yeah, and I think that's something that you have to be critically aware of. There's so many choke points here in this particular area of the map, but VZN finding some real estate on the inside, but we've talked about this, that Seer, Horizon, Valve comp is not going to allude to having some reinforcements, but Nightmare Esports running into a little bit of a scuffle here on the outskirts with that ring closing. They're going to have to pick a side. Which way do we want to go in? And it's going to have to be this one. There's no time to go back in on this. So you're going to be rotating in underneath that, and VZN's going to be there waiting in that building. But Aurora, Vicky, this was your team to watch, getting a little bit spicy against Navi as Clevey is down right now. Can Malion and Ranches answer back and be able to pit this on the way?
There's so many fights happening on each choke point part of checkpoint. You can see Aurora holding on to Seer. Life Ranch is popping the Phoenix Pit. Quite literally the definition of one. You can try to make up some makeshift cover if you're on the Cossack, but Navi approaching from the low ground are continuously beaming down Aurora. The missile swarm not finding it just yet, but Rugby from behind gets pinged by a wingman. Who's on the other side? Then no other than Horizon, who have inched their way down from checkpoint while not giving up the high ground at the same time. A lot of these teams are inside this next circle, and let's not forget Scars called this circle first, as Navi are in a lot of trouble losing out on Sanya.
This is going to be super spicy. This is not the position you want to find yourself in. You do not have the advantage here, but your nade is going to throw a lot of damage down. It's going to help you, right? But they have to go ahead and get this reset sooner rather than later. And Alliance right now still holding a high ground advantage. Mandy dropping down, hitting that grab lift, hitting that bat. This is exactly why I feel like Mandy getting back on Horizon was a good choice as the shots go out. Sure, he's going to get taken down in that 2v1, but Yuki and Hawk is back in for the action to clean it up.
Oh my goodness, the way that they just rotated outside of that fight into backing up the rest of the squad here. Alliance looking to reset. They got the gold knockdown shield here too. And with Horizon now creeping up on them, it's a good thing they had it as well. They also got the Watson ult as to play off to the side just to passively charge those evil shields. But the beamage and the high ground goes in favor to Alliance. As we jump into a listening with Alliance, we're going to see where the next moves are going to be.
He's over here.
Pop themselves.
Oh. Space left side. 40 on this guy.
Yeah.
And he's looking for light.
We're gonna play right. Actually, no. Focus right side. Focus right side. Focus right side.
Okay.
We have the entire space. We have the tree here and the rock here.
120.
I'm sliding on. You guys hold cover. Go late as possible. As late as possible. You shoot as if you can. Shoot as much as you can.
We have to clear the left team. How much light ammo do you have, Mandy?
No, dude, we're good. Just play the tree. Slide onto the tree. We can swing my right side and pitch him. Come.
Yeah.
We're swinging right side. We're swinging right side. I'm gonna see after this.
I'm with you.
One peeking.
You're looking.
Yeah, that's fine. We have the entire side. We're the entire side.
Yeah.
Let's see after as well. Let's play slow.
Do we play slow?
We have the outside.
Minus.
Just play the pitch them.
These guys fucked. These guys put you
I'm
outside.
trying to.
Okay.
One big kill bow. Kill bow. One big kill bow.
I can't shoot here.
We have to swing forward, guys. I'm batting.
Wait, it's
40.
not.
Behind us. Send forward.
You're low right now.
Peeking me.
Forward.
Yeah. 50 on him. I'm queuing on you on me, okay?
Nice. Send it.
I'm sending. Nice.
Arms up.
Oh no, and with those knocks one by one as they fall, Alliance are forcing their way in. Na'Vi had one heck of a game, but it's only down to 1 here. 4 squads left for Alliance to actually dominate, and they forced their way into this circle. You can hear the comms coming out as Na'Vi get finished off. 3 squads left with Alliance, Nightmare, and Horizon left in this lobby as unfinished squads, duos rather, to play off of the one full squad that's alive, that is Alliance.
Look, if you're gonna have numbers advantage, this is when you want it. I love the positioning here from Alliance. The comms were on point. You can tell that team synergy is working out so much better now that Mondi has taken on that role with Horizon, just so much more comfortable. And couple that with a Rampage that's getting heated up right now. You throw the thermite in, they just need a line of sight, and you know the damage is about to ensue. The question is, will Horizon, Nightmare Esports, or Alliance come out on top? And look at the rock. They're a little bit separated, right? You got Hakis right now taking a missile swarm to the face behind the rock. Horizon, that duo 0-0 and Urban trying to find something, anything that they can do, but Zero is going to fall. This is going to make the queue happen because Nightmare Esports has their attention on Horizon, and Alliance is just going to capitalize on this moment. You've got Alliance, you've got Nightmare Esports, the numbers advantage in the hands of Alliance. They just need to make this happen. Great black hole from Monty right now, and they're going to get sucked up in it now. All the damage going out. Monty, his last week here in the ALGS for Alliance, is going to come out on top here in map number 2.
Alliance coming on top, and they had so much KP to their name as well, Tiff. You could hear the comms, you could hear how they wanted to go for a split push as well. Nice off angle position for Mandy to take, and I love the way that Alliance looked in that game, because just like Scar is taking game number 1 and I believe falling in 6th place overall in that second game, Alliance also desperately needed to make sure that they could gain some momentum themselves for this ALGS. While we take our breath here and we take a look at what went down for game number 2, why don't we bring Fallout back in? We missed him after game number 1. Fallout, how are you doing after these last 2 games?
Doing fantastic, especially after these last 2 games. A brilliant start for Alliance and Scars in the top of the show. We questioned both of them as the biggest names, the biggest brands in EMEA and competitive Apex. Well, they both stepped up in games 1 and 2. That's talk about and much more as I welcome Spider Tiff back to join me for a post-game second. We'll let Vicky take a little bit of a break here, catch her breath after 2 crazy games, Tiff.
2 crazy games indeed. I cannot believe the action. We were asking it. You said it best. Will Scars, will Alliance be able to step it up, and better now than late? You don't want to make sure that like your end of split 1 trying to get into playoffs and you're at a disadvantage about to get relegated. You want to make playoffs. There's only 9 squads remaining, so Scars and Alliance are doing everything that they need to do today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's break down that late game before we jump into the highlights here in just a moment. Alliance, and you all called to listen in beautifully. It was a perfect time to hear the excellence of Hakis as an IGL. A lot of discussion this week that was prompted about top IGLs in the world. Hakis is certainly in the top 7 for, I think, most people, probably even top 5, arguably. And it showed right there. His ability to completely and utterly navigate this team. The full respect he commands of the squad is so impressive. And ultimately, they're hot and cold right there. Their ability to push up, be hot, get damage, and then back out, stay alive. You did enough damage, just survive, was incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to highlight it. You saw kind of in the offseason leading into the Pro League that Hockey's kind of subbed in on a lot of different teams to really get some reps in, and I think his ability to work with a multitude of people and adapt really well just kind of excels as a leader. And now bringing in Mandy, sure, it's his last week here with the Alliance team in the ALGS potentially, but a great sub nonetheless. I think it was brilliant to make that move from Gibby to Horizon, and you can see just how much more comfortable it is in this current meta that's kind of happening, right? That aggressive nature, the black holes coming out at the perfect times, just absolutely stellar. And to be fair, at the top of checkpoint there, I was really nervous when they were going to get third party because they took that 3v3, then they were able to reset super quick, jump down and position for that tree. You heard it in that listen, and we want the tree, we want the rock, we need that. And it panned out so well for them.
Yeah, that's a great point. If Horizon isn't a team of 3 right there, and if Urban gets rid of the wingman and opts for an R301 or something else, they likely get third partied up there in Countdown. So checkpoint. That's an interesting fight and an interesting situation. Alliance barely survives, and then you called it perfectly. Their ability to recognize, hey, we have this the entirety of this wide right angle, obviously using Seer to pick out information and intel, allowed them to gain map control and slowly just work their way in. So great job from Alliance in that late game there. I'm sure we'll catch that late game in the highlights here. Let's take a look at the highlights from game number 2. Tiff, walk me through the early game and some standout moments for you.
I mean, we still had some spicy moments, right? You can see Reply Totem. They did so well in map number 1. Unfortunately, going out super early here to Nightmare Esports in map number 2 and start a fight. Just so much chaos. We had the same contest, right? But it was a little bit different. And Vexed Gaming, the ability to go on that aggressive nature and to go ahead and disengage from that fight, recognize, hey, this is not a good push. We do not need to be here at this moment. But that's the thing. It's like, how do you bridge the gap from early to mid game and position yourself with KP in that end game? And I think that's the only key to the puzzle right now that Vexed Gaming is missing. And once they get that, they are going to be unstoppable.
I agree. Vex has been looking very, very strong. Their 3v3 edge, very aggressive nature has worked out well for them, but inability to get to late game. 2 games in a row here. That might be cost them the overall standings. Agree that that's kind of going to unlock their ultimate and full potential. Nightmare Esports, though, with a really solid game. We caught most of the action. They were able to make it into the late game, securing a top 3 finish. This is the fight between Alliance and Corpa. That Alliance quickly came out on top before Horizon almost third-party tip.
Yeah, they did this so well. They just kind of kept the pressure on them, and that was what they needed to do to make sure. But talk about keeping the pressure. That's going to be Na'Vi. They were just constantly a thorn in the side of a lot of these teams that you wouldn't have necessarily thought. But then in the end, Alliance able to garner themselves some really nice positioning around that tree. Nightmare Esports making their way in as well. It was kind of like a triumvirate, right? It was like a triangle here and this open circle of Storm Point. And unfortunately, Horizon was the first team to go. And Alliance utilizing that black hole perfectly. When you thermite plus Rampage equals absolute decimation. And Mandy did such a good job right there. But look at these results. Fallout, Alliance. I don't know why I keep wanting to add like that little
Alliance. It is EMEA. You know, you're getting throwing a little French accent in the mix. Just
look,
because.
I did study
Alliance.
French. I did study French. And I think that's what's happened. I studied abroad in Paris and Angers, and now my brain is not working. But alas, 9 eliminations coupled with that 12 placement points, 21 points. But we talked about this after map number 1 with Vicky. Look at the number of eliminations from Nightmare Esports, 11. So they've almost tied the fact that, yeah, they didn't get first. They got second, but they got 1 point less than Alliance.
Yeah, it's a very, very similar situation than we saw in game 1 with the top 2 teams. Second team almost fragging out enough to get the same amount of points as number 1 team. But Vexed, here we go, 5 kill points. Kind of proving the point we're making, right? They're able to get kills, they're able to do really, really well on edge, but their inability to rotate. I don't know if y'all saw the RKN HD tweet on Twitter of a video referencing the difference between edge teams and center teams, but it feels like Vexed is that ultra muscular edge team, ability to take any fight, but the inability to make it and rotate into late game. We'll see if Vexed can clean that up as we take a look at the overall series results. Despite their efforts, despite their skill and talent looking so sharp, Vexed in 9th place right now, but only 2 games in. Kudos and props to Alliance, Nightmare Esports, Scars, all really within 1 point of the top 3. Horizon, Reply Totem right behind them, and Element 6 will round out your top 5 or top 6. So a lot of our same brands that we talked about that need to step up this week certainly have. Alliance and Scars included. Obviously on the second page, we had Fire Beavers, we had a few others that are looking for a better game number 3 here to close out Storm Point.
And I think you said it best, right? But consistency is key. And I don't want to kind of keep harping on the fact that Vexed Gaming, but last matchup, right? They had a game 2, 0 points. So they haven't had a 0-point game yet. And they honestly haven't made it to late game just yet. So the moment they do that, I think they're going to shoot right up that leaderboard. But everyone doing what they need to do. It's a brawl. It's a brawl. And at the end of Split 1 Pro League, some of these teams are going to be making it to LAN, 9 of them. And the fact is, how is this even going to work out? Like, how do you pick 9 teams from such a stacked 3 groups?
Yeah, it's insane to think about. Of all of the talent we have in EMEA, only the top 9 will qualify through automatically, but the rest can qualify, of course, through points or last chance qualifiers to the Split 1 playoffs. But hey, as we're waiting for the lobby to load, it's almost loaded. We just got word. Server starting here in just a minute. Let's take a look at the final ring, because that was a really, really interesting play and really interesting moment of the final circle fight. You called it perfectly, Tiffany. The use of the black hole, thermite grenades right after. Brilliant from Alliance. Walk us through it.
Oh, yeah, they did everything. You heard it in that listen, and we're calling for that positioning, right? This moment right here, Moundy was able to get a line of sight because, yeah, that rampage, right? But Nightmare Esports had kind of nestled themselves in right here, and they had to go and become, little rock climbers to get up. Horizon had top tree, which I really like, but unfortunately, once Nightmare Esports turned their full focus onto Horizon, there was nothing they could do because it was 2 duos and a trio. They had the numbers advantage in the form of Alliance, and this was just that moment. And even with the bruiser on the wingman, this is one of those moments moments. I actually like the bruiser on the wingman, and that's just a hot take, I guess, because usually it's the red dot is much preferred, but I love the way they did this.
Exactly. Lemic actually helped that by getting the first knock on Horizon. Here's the ultimate. Here's the use of the thermite for Mandy. His thermite's were on point, plus the thermite in the Rampage meat. He was just ticking away with the care package LMG Rampage. And in the end, a really, really great use to hold on to that black hole till very, very late game. Despite the fact that they could have used it a couple fights previously, they held on for the final ring, final circle, final moment. And Alliance dominates. They come out on top. A really, really solid game for Alliance. A solid game for Scars in game number 1. And as a result, well, we have a pretty even distributed amount of points in the overall series results. The top 7, 8 all are vying for a first place spot. And guess what? Within that, we got the big brands. We got Totem. We got Alliance. We got Scars. We got so many more. But guess what? We got game number 3, the last game on Storm Point, to see who will end up on top before we head to World's Edge in game number 4. And to call the action, yet again, we got Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Follow. After that second game, Tiff, what is these overall leaderboards looking like right here? It is getting so close. I mean, not only did we see Reply Totem in game number 1 pop off and then fall early in game number 2, we just saw Nightmare Esports coming in with the second place finish and 11 kills. Double digits is always what I like to see from our lobbies.
I mean, they are doing everything that they need to be doing. And now the question comes in. We're going into the last game on Storm Point before jumping on over to World's Edge. And the consistency is going to be key. At this point, you cannot be on the screen with 0 points. You've got to keep your numbers up if you want to come out on the top of the leaderboard at the end of this 6-map series. And man, Storm Point is the last one of the day.
Oh, let's get started. Let's not waste any more time. Where are our 50-50s? Oh, look, it looks like GameWard and Echo Esports are already engaging early on. But while we take a look at our final POIs that we're seeing for the day in our EMEA region in Storm Point, I'm excited to see what our circle is going to be, because we had some of those 2 northern circles kind of pulling towards the middle north side of Storm Point, and that really did favor a lot of our teams when it came to those northern rotations. Is that going to persist, though? Because I'm excited to see teams like Nightmare Esports continue on this domination, because despite them not even taking first just yet, that second place finish and all the KP that they've secured themselves has allowed them to skyrocket in the overall leaderboards.
And I love that you bring that up, because any team still has the ability to do that, right? The spread is still pretty close there for the top 3. You've got 26, 25, 25. This is the moment where you want to go ahead and strike, because if you wait till that 6th game, it's going to be a little too late. You don't want to be in the 5th and 6th trying to make a large jump. You want to get in there at the top of the leaderboard early as we get some beautiful, beautiful shots. And potentially Echo, you know, all white shields now, in the words of Nice, like a couple napkins on your screen, not looking as well stocked as they have been on those first 2 Storm Point drops. Just trying to keep an eye out as, hey, where is GameWard?
Wondering, maybe up above. You see the Seer with Echo Esports. They've been sticking to this composition since the very beginning, but with the Seer passive on the heartbeat sensor, they have the information that they need to see where these players are situating themselves, especially since they're going to be traversing from the low ground. But they got the natural cover of the rocks to their right, kind of playing off the side of Down Beast to get out of the line of sight of GameWard.
Hey, and that's what you need to do. Oh, what you need to do is get in your crypto drone, and you just need to stalk your prey, find that information, and you know they are absolutely kitted. You've got the purple on Aimbot, you've got the blue on Yolu, and GameWard kind of in that mid-game had already lost out on Yolu, and I feel as if they weren't able to come back from that moment. When you are down a teammate towards mid-game, you don't really get nice resets. It's very rare that you're able to get maybe a Moby or find a respawn beacon, but this is the moment. Echo Esports, not necessarily having a shield advantage here, are pushing up. It feels like they're climbing up against a mountain to get to GameWard, as they are just being insinuated with damage here. Sure, they're able to get a crack onto the Valk, but that doesn't matter. They just need to play this, but the little rocks, the little head peek, Vicky.
Oh, but you know, with a lot of these early 50-50s going on, I think another team has gotten whiff of what's been going on, and I think VCN had just made an appearance into this third party. Echo Esports, recognizing this, have backed up. They have some information, but they're trying to play this patiently, because GameWard, as you can see them taking a look at their backs, they note that there is another team in this area, but GameWard have the health advantage. Like you mentioned, you see Aimbot with the purple Evo. Yeah, they're still working off of white Evo, off of that crypto. You can see Saib taking a lot of pressure, force to pop the shield back, but in some nice beamage off to the side, off to the left field from Game Ward to prevent Echo Esports from pushing in onto that.
Oh, this is gonna be absolutely spicy because you think these teams didn't get enough time. Bardo gonna fall. Looks like Harold within an inch of their life. Zuni, the Seer, going to have to keep the dream alive. But a lot of these players, it's gonna be Zane from VZN being that kind of thorn in the side and just decimating both of these teams. If you're gonna third party, you gotta wait until there's a lot of damage going out. And now Aimbot just like, hey, is this my time to just disengage from the fight? We've seen this happen prior, but no, going in and putting the finishing touches into Echo Esports now being the first team out of this lobby. But you got to turn your attention onto VZN, and just like that, Game Word gonna be done and dusted. And VJ, Zane, Nox getting all of the splendors from those teams, but Horizon also falling early as well.
To the hands of Corpo. That's another fight that was happening on the other side. 3 squads escorted right back to the lobby as VZN are gonna be able to capitalize off of all the extra loot that they were wondering why weren't they invited to the party. You know, better show up late than never, and they did it so patiently too. As we tune into Nightmare in the middle of their rotation, look at the loot that they're working off. They got 2 purple evos. They're feeling great after that last game, but all right, Zay taking a lot of that damage, backing up from that as Nightmare Esports looking to cover his back just in case. You see the 30-30 repeater right back in the hands of Limac, who's been having, by the way, an amazing day, securing so much KP. I think Limac alone has been able to get 8 kills over the course of the last 2 games. So really good situation for Nightmare as it's Reply Totem on the other side of Jurassic Park.
Ooh, that's actually really great for Limac. I love that for them. But Reply Totem, they were kind of looking a little inconsistent. We saw them go out incredibly early in map number 2. So map number 3, they need to bring it back. They have the ability to do so. And I think they're kind of well kitted. Nightmare Esports forced to kind of go back to this little pineapple. I like to call them pineapples, you know, little SpongeBob, little SpongeBob vibes. But I don't think they're done just yet, right? They kind of want to keep an eye on that position. And now just looking in, where is my next moment? Where is that next good fight going to be? Because I think they're playing incredibly smart and calculated, right? They know, hey, maybe this push isn't going to be where I'm needed. So let's disengage and look for something else. But this fight in Jurassic, it's always a really peculiar place to take fights. You've got every bit of information because it's a dead center. Everyone's gonna hear this. And as I say everyone, look who's here. It's Aurora.
Oh, and they're making an appearance between 2 squads, which I don't think this is the spot that they want to hold in, but I'm not surprised that we're seeing so many teams rotate through Jurassic Park right now, because in that building that Nightmare Esports have bunkered down in, that is where the beacon is, and that's going to be the main beacon that a lot of these teams rotating away from Barometer, if there's no beacon there, or even an antenna. They want to be able to secure that information to plan their next move, especially a team like Aurora, since they're rocking the Caustic. They have the information from the Bloodhound, but it's not like the Seer where you could utilize that heartbeat sensor to look behind you. You would have to wait for the scan cooldown to end as, all right, Melon being able to get some of the beamage off of the R301 is always nice to see, even though the Bangalore smoke was sent out. That choke point is going to get contested by that team, and since Aurora doesn't have the information of that next circle, they're not going to be able to plan their next moves in the way where they can feel comfortable to do so, because I do believe the circle is going to continuously pull towards the north, towards the command center Stormcatcher area, and if that's the case, getting past this choke point with already Reply Totem getting ahead of the game is going to be in a position where they're going to be prone to getting circle capped.
I think this is going to be one of those moments where those teams that play hard zone are going to benefit from, right? Because there's not a lot of real estate that's going to be available when you have 17 squads remaining trying to kind of bunker down in that Stormcatcher command center area. Sure, maybe some teams will be coming in from the Thunderwatch side, and you're going to have a lot of issues as you battle your way into that next zone. But the question is, command center is always a hot and spicy area. You have so much loot, so many different ways to access it. It's like, hey, if you're going to be bunkering down in there, how do you effectively hold down that entire space? But no questions asked, if you're playing a comp like Vexed Gaming, you know you're just hunting for your next prey at this point. So I'd like to see them get through this mid game a little more safely and be able to capitalize on their micro 3v3 fights and just show us what we know they're capable of doing.
With their plan, actually, I like this if they opt to go on the outskirts of the circle to go for a longer rotate. It looks like they're just trying to see what they do first and maybe catch any stragglers that are rotating late into this next circle. But if they end up doing that, they'll be situated on the high ground instead of having to come from that low to high ground between Stormcatcher and Thunderwatch, because that's a very tricky choke point to be in, especially if you rotate early. And look at this. So there's already another team that's taking up the real estate right across from them, and it's actually Na'Vi that have a bit of a split real estate here to control this entire lot. If Na'Vi take on this fight, though, we can expect already squads that are already sitting at Stormcatcher to put in some poke pressure from Na'Vi and onto the other squad that's rotating right behind them.
It's going to be essentially like ringing a dinner bell at this point for KP. Now Na'Vi, I'm pretty sure Vexed and Na'Vi are kind of going at it for these first two matches because they really not necessarily put a thorn in the side, but you can see Black Hole going out from Sonya right now, just trying to keep them out of the building. But you know what? You can't keep Vexed out forever. Unlucky connecting a lot of important shots here and just go in and cheeky through the window with the Eva 8, just punishing Na'Vi from staying inside. But the issue is, you mentioned it best, Vicky, they're going to get poked and prodded from any team in a nearby vicinity.
Yeah, and look who it is. I believe we just saw Corpa make an appearance in this fight. Now Batafi is running for his life. Vex Gaming down two of those members. As you can see, that last straggler not going to get chased down by Na'Vi, as Na'Vi recognize there is another team on the outskirts of this building. Can they reset is the question here. Some of our building doors have been blown up. You can see them now trying to take these different off angles to prevent that Seer tactical from actually cutting off the ability to Kyo here too.
The fact that Corpa just pushed in, took down what they could, allowed Na'Vi to just full reset inside, and is just like, nah, you know what, Na'Vi, good luck. I want to see you in game. But let's cut on over to Nightmare Esports. They're at the top of your leaderboard right now with 26 points and looking to really own this rock, poke fighting that 30-30 going out. But I don't know if that's going to be the best place, because you are going to have to start looking for real estate as Limet gets absolutely punished and is just running for their life right now.
Yeah, gotta dance, gotta schmove, prevent these prowlers from biting at your ankles here too. Light is gonna be able to at least pop up that shield bat, but they're getting pinged from across the field by another team. He has little to no health right now. He's gonna be able to slide down, pop that shield bat as we take a look at Aurora, one of our other squads that are looking to rotate on the high ground here. Still, again, nice to note, the Caustic, the Bloodhound, and the Bangalore, a team comp that won't allow them to bunker down comfortably. E6 as well, looking like they're in a fight as Alliance are playing off of the outskirts of where the circle is. Thunderwatch now with E6 having control over that building. They wanted to predict that the circle was going to continuously push in this north side, but Life been getting pinged from right behind. It's Mandy taking a nice angle with the G7.
Well, this is what they need to do. Alliance, your map 2 winners, really trying to put a thorn in the side, but Slayers on that lifeline is going to be able to consistently go in and hit that res, but Alliance just punishing them. Now going to go ahead and just see if they can finish off E6, but trying to find as many cheeky angles as they can, and they're just trying to tank the storm and get a nice little reset, but I don't think that they're going to be able to do it. But you see, K-Swinny and Slayers must have just real full pushed out into, oh my gosh, they are. They're gonna go for a rotate around, but I hope they have the heals. We see 5 syringes in the hand of K-Swinny. This is spicy. Vex Gaming going out.
Yeah, E6 now forced to actually rotate from around. Vex Gaming going down as well. That's the chaos that's happening over in Stormcatcher. That's what happens when so many teams are sharing that real estate. They're going to be able to grab the banner with the crypto drone before making their moves around the hillside, because they got to get moving soon. I believe there's now a minute 30 seconds left for that circle to close in, and Nightmare Esports, the team that are topping the overall leaderboards, looking to continue on their domination. You can see that they've been putting in some poke pressure, but they're not in that next circle just yet. They're on the outskirts, taking their time to see which of these other squads that are rotating on the edge of the circle. There's definitely a squad that's on that hillside between Stormcatcher and Thunderwatch, and I'm worried for teams like Alliance, who are so fixated on trying to clean up any stragglers that are left over from E6.
Talk about someone picking off stragglers. That's going to be Fire Beavers. They're taking out Foot Esports, and Amphi from V2 going under siege right now, just trying to nestle in, forced to hit that Phoenix kit. At least the team camaraderie is here. It's like throwing resources at you. Luckily, they've been able to pick up through the end game, but this is where that uphill battle is about to start. You've only got a couple of rocks to dive under, and Nightmare Esports have found themselves some Nox gas traps from a former Caustic team. You know Aurora must have been through here at some point throughout this game, and I kind of like this, right? Sure, there's a lot of areas, and this could be really unfortunate if some Arc Stars or Thermites come into your area, but if you just lay low here and just play under Stormcatcher, you're open to a lot of LOSs or line of sights, but just play your game. There's still 15 squads remaining here in round 3.
Yeah, we see some stragglers already dropping like flies. Aurora, you made mention of it. The caustic traps laid out a trap. Those pesky traps sometimes could be a thorn on your side, but it's about making a statement. And the beamage coming in as well from Khalid with the R301. We talked about the 3-time scope earlier on. It was earlier on in the rotation before the rotation was swapped out. Element 6 now getting taken out. That was a team that was rotating around the circle who were getting gate kept by Alliance. Doesn't look like they were able to make it out on that side of the storm, or just pressured out in general from Alliance, who are now going to finally make their move to go into the circle from the high ground of the uphill battle that is happening north of Stormcatcher. Aurora, though, they have the right Evo shield from Ranches, and they have enough of the health advantage to continue on this pressure, as well as the positioning advantage, but I don't see them fully sending it here. They want to make sure that they can maintain this real estate with any other spot that can rotate from behind them, looking to take their spot.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really critical if they can keep this building maintained. You can really control the space with Maliwan on that caustic, able to secure. Sure, the doors have been blown wide open, but if you're not going to push a building with a caustic in it, you're just not at this point in time. So this moment is perfectly. They're able to kind of weasel their way out of this building, look for some easy lines of sight, maybe find and resupply on some loot, but that Bangalore able, oh, even better. You've got the Digi threat on the car, so you can see through your smoke, and you're going to couple that with the Bloodhound. This composition is my favorite, as they just lay down so much pressure on the team on the outskirts of this building.
Ooh, with the beamage out here too. Look at that, the smoke actually making some damage here too. Aurora now looking to back off for right now. Let's take a look and hear out their comms in a listening to figure out what they're gonna do if they just want to hold on to this real estate.
Потом.
Да,
Спина в любой момент ебется, но не с валькой.
Надо вместе зона идти, да, не торопись. Под мой ульту, Клифф.
хорошо, дохиливаю до конца.
Смотрит раньше справа.
Не знаю.
За ресурсы убиваются эти. Дал
Подними
скан на них.
сейчас. Малик,
Их
подними
трое,
сейчас.
их трое.
Да, этих трое, это фулка. Сзади у тебя 2 сквада, Малик. Один в тоннеле где-то вот с этой стороны, и один вот тут.
Понимаю, валькуется кто-то. Под нами файт, у спины файт, спина отвлеклась, сейчас на файт смотрит. Спина смотрит на файт, нейды кидает. Файт вот там.
Не, они просто закидывают нижних челов, там и
Но они
катушка.
смотрят.
Спина вышла. Дал 60, Horizon. Аккуратно там скаут.
Еще 30.
Скан 20. Внутри верхние залетели обратно.
Не, они там стоят.
Клифф, пошли этих душить. Похуй, Малик, смотри, спину.
Сейчас, дай откилить 2 секунды. Иду. Скан 2. Даю. Не видно отсюда. Ульта есть. Жду кола.
Да, надо бы что душить.
Ультую.
Моя ульта.
Я спину контролирую.
Horizon есть.
Давай.
Спина вниз упала, спина вниз под нас упала. Проходить будут. Слева.
Аккуратно.
Валькуется спина.
Все, Клифф, Малик, иди к нам, Малик, надо
Я иду
идти.
к вам ульту
убивать.
давать, иду к вам ульту
Давай.
Там
я
катушка
подбежу,
есть.
Love being able to hear the different comms from our different teams from different regions in the EMEA region, as Aurora are looking to fully send it down. 12 spots left in this lobby, and Aurora are taking on this fight against Nightmare. They trade 1 for 1. Navi eliminated and defeated. Aurora dancing and running from their lives here when it comes to the ring closing in behind them. Rich is getting that knocked at the very end. Nightmare still come out on top from that fight. Limac being the last one standing, but here comes Corpa, who were in the area, who were ready to get involved, only leaving 3 tricks alive, managing to recover both these banners. But what a chaotic mess this southern side of the circle was.
Look, this is not a zone that I would ever want to play, but being on the desk, getting to witness the absolute chaos of this mess, we are just on the south side of Thunderwatch. It's a hilly mess, right? There's rocks. And you are kind of nestled up at the very top. This is the way to play this. You are putting yourself in a god spot. Now the question is, will a team go super aggro and try to push onto them? We know Vex isn't in this, like they're already out, so no one is really going to chow them, but we think Alliance might be in the vicinity because the last we saw, they were kind of gatekeeping E6 up in this area. And yeah, that is exactly who it is. Alliance right now looking so strong. They have the ability to get that high ground with the grab lift. So I'd be curious to see, will they turn their sights onto Scars nestled down over there, or will they just try to fight off everyone that's making their way up this hill?
Well, it looks like IG Alliance was the first squad to go down out of these 6 squads that were fighting for their lives to get up onto the high ground. Alliance have that positional advantage, like you mentioned before. They're in a really good spot. They don't have to give up this rock because you could see the squad creeping up to their right from the low ground, looking to have that opportunity if Alliance decide to get aggressive onto Scars. With the Seer, though, being on the side of Alliance, they're going to have that information. I believe it is Game of Drones that are trying to make their way uphill from the right side. So Alliance with the split push and Mandate being on the left side, he's got his eyes on Scars. He's got his eyes on the squads that are to his left, so rather his right side down below, so that way he can have a nice split look of information between all the other squads left over in the entirety of this final circle. They're not in this next circle, so they're forced to actually inch forward.
Oh, you can see the crypto drone trying to go out with the EMP exhibits up all around, and Alliance are taking the brunt of the force. Rovic able to grab it down onto Yuki, so that's going to be really preferential if all of the teams start to focus Alliance, because look at the thermites just eating Alliance alive right now, and Scars reaping all the benefits. And you're right, Game of Drones right now just trying to play that teammate Jules knockdown shield, brunt of more thermites. This is what I like. If you're going to the end game, make sure you're packed with ordinances, because this is so great to throw a lot of that initial damage out. Corpa out. Now 4 squads remaining. Start a fight. You got Game of Drones. Alliance is somehow alive, and Scars as well. But Game of Drones, the focus of the entire lobby, trying to get them out. And Rondon last alive for the team. Can you keep it alive here?
Oh, Alliance, Mandy being the last one alive. You wondered how they were still alive, and Game of Drones go down before the Mandy coming in clutch for Alliance. Not only staying alive, but avoiding all the pressure that thermite grenade from Scars put down on the rest of Alliance that enabled Game of Drones to move in for a third party. Now look at this position from Mandy. He doesn't need to overextend. He doesn't need to poke at all. It's Start a Fight Esports that are now making an appearance to the south side of Scars, who have been playing this patiently, who works with this team composition that they're running. It works beautifully for the plans that they have with the circle to their back.
Yeah, but how do you penetrate the forces of Scars over there? You've got the fortress that they have made for themselves. They have the Watson Jenny down. They still had another Newcastle ultimate available to them, so they just moved their wall even further down south, and they're trying to go ahead and get Alliance out of this lobby. And Hiarka right now going forward once again. What is Start a Fight going to do? You do not have a clean LOS on that team right there, but you've got a Watson Jenny of your own. My question is, will both of these teams elect to put their forces to getting Mandy out of this lobby, or will they take a pure 3v3 and Mandy just come in at the very end? Please tell me you have ult management here and you have that black hole available for you.
Oh, I'm excited to see what Mandy's gonna be able to do, because these squads, yeah, they're focusing their attention to at least pick up that last straggler. But Mandy literally living to the very edge of his life. He's not gonna show up and be front-facing in an open field. As Start a Fight Esports are looking to engage, they get pressured out. They back up. A nice disengaged call from Start a Fight Esports now. As they back up, they're gonna replenish a lot more of their health. An Alliance with Mandy being forced out with the circle to his back. What is he gonna do? He's gonna be taking some circle damage. He needs to move forward.
Oh, PK in hand, hits for 99. That's a knock on to Jerovic. But now the issue is, what is going to happen? Scars right now finally putting the finishing touches onto Mandy before they turn their attention to Start a Fight. But will it be enough? You've got Bambino and Blast still alive, and they're just looking for Scars right now at the top of the rock. You are climbing, shields cracked, and that's going to be it. Start a Fight Esports coming out on top against Scars here in map number 3.
Mandy helped grief Scars right there. They were like, get him right now. Start a Fight says, yes, please. That open field allowed Start a Fight to close in the gap, because Alliance not only had just Mandy left to just deal with the fact that the rest of Scars were pushing it on him, but he knew that he pulled all the attention away from Scars. That was an insane play at the very end of that game.
I mean, it's just actually so comical. They did that so well, and Mandy just griefing. You are right. Just putting down so much damage. Start a Fight, kind of doing exactly what we saw Foot Esports do, right? Just play their time, right? You just need to make sure you're looking at the line of sights. They couldn't get something that was super clean, but they bode their time. They come out on top. But hey, I thought Scars was going to be able to run it back to back. Get 2 wins.
Yeah, that would have been very impressive. Fallout, let's bring you back in after an intense game number 3. The ends right there. I need to get your thoughts because Mandy came in clutch for Alliance at the very end. Yeah, you still got 3rd, but it's the fact that you took away the extra 12 points that Scars would have gotten if they ended up winning the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, the biggest thing I want to talk about just for a split second before I welcome both of you back in for a little bit of a halftime show here is Mandy. Mandy made a little bit too much noise, was a little bit too big right there, and then ultimately the decision for Scars to try and take out the solo is what got them eliminated in the end. So you question some of those decisions there, Mandy for making so much noise, and then ultimately Scars for deciding to grief the solo as opposed to the 3v3. But let's bring both of you back in for a halftime discussion because I'd be curious to get your thoughts. In that scenario, is Scars better off letting Mandy just continue to live over there and be a bit of a nuisance, or taking the 3v3 instead against the final team remaining, or do you think it's the right decision, Tiff, to try and push the solo?
I mean, now knowing that Mandy kind of was the thorn in the side of Scars, I would have aped Mandy. I'd be like, you know what? I don't care at this point because then you get the rough, but you are going to lose that protection. If maybe I had another Newcastle wall or something to myself, you could have thrown that back down and then put your full force ready to take on start a fight and took that 3v3. But Mandy was just living his best life over there. He's probably laughing, having so much fun. I'd be nervous, but he was probably thrilled.
That's right. He was the absolute thorn in the side. And you already know big old man, he's not going to go down swinging, all right? That man's going to give a PK to the face to make sure that he can at least take out one with him, which is exactly what he did. And in the end, Scars loses to start a fight. But let's talk about start a fight for a second. We've been highlighting Alliance and Scars often with the first 2 wins, and they, of course, both make it to the top 3 in Game 3. But SAF, a team that we highlighted in the pre-show, is a dark horse team you have to keep an eye out for. I mentioned Bambino. His individual performances have been immaculate. Doctors and, of course, his Twitter content, in addition to the 3 of them as a team, have been looking great, Vicky.
Yeah, start a fight, by the way, before that game, I believe overall were ranked in last. So they desperately needed that dub before we move away from Stormpoint, enter World's Edge, because off of that win alone, even though it was the last game that they played on Stormpoint, they could carry that momentum starting on World's Edge. They could get basically a fresh new page to kind of take control of, because this is the start for start a fight to actually build up that momentum.
Yeah, that's a great point. 3 more games on World's Edge will give them that opportunity, but a great last game on Stormpoint to keep them in the running. And just based on the way the standings have laid out so far, Tiff, really any team can still win this tournament. I think the Max team in first place had like 25 to 28 points. So let's take a look at Game 3 highlights here and showcase that start of fight. Obviously ended up on top, put themselves in the running, but a couple other teams obviously making some noise throughout. Tiff, Vicky, walk me through it.
You got Echo Esports. It is the absolute war of attrition over here at the Down Beast at the start of the game, but Hockey's right there, had the charge rifle in his hand for that early game, and you know I'm a huge fan. A lot of these teams just looking so strong, but the call's into question. It's if you can make it into the end game with the numbers advantage and have like the resources that you need to find success, because we saw that. Scars, Alliance, how many ordinances did they have available to them to throw out at the very end?
Yeah, you just saw that BZN as well at the very beginning got involved in that third party. A lot of these squads making that quick adaptation to time their early fights better. As Aurora were able to take up that real estate on the other side too before we saw the chaos go down between themselves, Corpa, another squad actually getting involved in that fight here too. It was the fight for this hillside too that we were highlighting at the very beginning that could be really tricky if you go for those early rotates, because you saw a lot of squads like Alliance that were coming in from the high ground that were doing a really good job at taking advantage of the early position that they capitalize off of.
Yeah, agreed. But here's the moment where Aurora gets taken out, opting against the Wraith here. They're going to go back on that bone. They're going to actually instead opt to play Bangalore and Caustic. Ranch is doing everything he possibly can, but Aurora get taken out early yet again. And just to see how many kill points they had, and we'll break that down in the leaderboards in a second. But here's the late game moment. Scars start a fight in a solo in Mandy, and they ultimately decide, this is right slightly before that, but they ultimately decide to push Mandy as a solo here. Tiff, walk me through it.
I mean, look at the bunker down force, and this is where Mandy just kind of trying to stay alive at the point, just taking down Game of Drones, then just being the thorn in Scars' side. But they had such a good bunker here and start a fight trying to like preach over the fact that Scars was there, but going back and making sure that they have that fight. Then they just clean it up, come out on top. It was just absolutely classic. Well done by them.
Agreed. Let's take a look at the Game 3 results. Start of fight, first place. Only 4 kills to their name, though, so coming from the bottom of the leaderboard, 16 points will help them, but they have to have a big games 4 through 6. Scars and Alliance right behind them, winners of games 1 and 2 respectively. Another 13 and 14 point game respectively as well. Game of Drones though also show some great things. In Corpo with the edge, aggression, and 8 kill points. Incredibly impressive stuff as we take a look at the series results. Overall standings for the day, and it's page 2, I apologize. Aurora with 3 overall points. So again, Vicky, not the edge fighting Storm Point that we saw last week from Aurora. They quiet down a little bit, they simmer.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them when they were forced to approach from the low ground to high ground, but it did work out in favor for Alliance despite them getting 3rd place. That 7 KP in comparison to Scars and start a fight with only 4 KP to their name is going to allow Alliance to still maintain their position on the top end of the overall leaderboards.
Yeah, so we get a little more top heavy as well. Now, let's take a look at the series results. Speaking of top heavy, it's Alliance and Scars, the 2 big brands and names of EU back on top. Hockey's Mandy as a substitute alongside Yuki in first, but barely. Scars right behind him with 38. Nightmare Esports, though, again, another dark horse type team, 31 points. Reply Totem with the big pickup of Jazz this season, looking pretty solid as well. But you'll see from 3rd place all the way down to 15th place with Vexed even further down. Truly, one big pop-off game can shake up our top 5. Interesting stuff here, Tiff.
Interesting stuff indeed, but now I just can't help but smile, right? We talked about it in the pre-show, Alliance and Scars, and they are just, it's working out in their favor, or at least Storm Point is. Before we head on over to World's Edge, I'm hoping they can carry that consistency forward, but this is a tight race. We knew that this B versus Group C matchup was going to be incredibly feisty. Feisty is the word that I'm looking for. That is what it is, and they are doing it. They are bringing us the action, everything that we wanted. I know that I'm sitting on the edge of my seats right now. My hands are just a little bit sweaty because the action's so crazy, and now I'm just happy. I'm just happy, Fallout.
Right there with you. Right. If I could pick one word to define Mandy's personality, it's feisty. I like that one. I'm just playing. Shout out to Mandy. Taking a look at Yuki, though. It's Yuki of Alliance on top of the kill leaderboards, tied to the limit in 2nd place with 8. The Polar Sensation, former Kick Esports squad. Rugby representing CIS right behind. Rounds out the top 3. Taishin, the CEO, Amaze, Mandy, and a few others representing the overall top 10. So right now, even the kill leaderboards race is neck and neck. That just goes to show how competitive this Group B versus C pairing is. Just like you said, Tiff, it's been truly an even distribution of skill across the board here. But now shifting gears a little bit to World's Edge. Alliance obviously dropping Thermal Station where they like to play. They have a ton of experience on Thermal Station. You got to think Alliance is just going to continue to perform here, Vicky, given how much experience they have on World's Edge. Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree there, but I also want to pinpoint that Nightmare Esports, all 3 members on that squad, by the way, were able to make it into the top 10 of that overall kill leader leaderboard. So that's something else to take note of before we dive into World's Edge. But I'm definitely going to highlight here Alliance, who are doing such a good job here, Tiff. I know you highlighted them specifically to see what they were able to do and their rotations from the high ground.
I mean, that's what they needed to do. I was a little nervous if they were going to loom into that checkpoint area for a little bit too long, but that was a beautiful listen-in because it really provided a lot of insight to kind of their next moves, right? Because we don't always get to hear those player comms, so we don't get the decisions. We kind of just sit back and we try to analyze that, but they did that right. And now I think if they carry all of that momentum forward to World's Edge into Thermal Station, they're going to do great.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Tiff. On the flip side of Alliance, well, the opposite end of the spectrum is Nightmare. A dark horse team, not necessarily a big brand team. Vicky, they are in the top 3 right now. Nightmare Esports has been looking great.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not a name I'm unfamiliar with. We've seen this team make their appearance in the competitive Apex Legends space time and time again, and they're looking to keep their name on board. Nightmare Esports have had amazing pop-off games for the last 3 games, but nice to highlight the fact that even though they haven't taken a dub, they're a very kill-heavy squad, and they need to continue on that domination going into World's Edge if they want to see themselves in contention against a team like Alliance.
Yeah, agreed. You mentioned not a team we are unfamiliar with seeing. You're spot on. Former Kick Esports squad. They've won ALGS online tournaments or championships before. Not necessarily overall champs, but at least they've got a couple dubs under their belts. We know what the Polar squad can do, but 7 is a new third for this team. Limik and Denze have been playing together for a long time, years. They pick up 7 as a new free agent, and they are looking pretty solid here so far, at least. We got 3 more games to go. World's Edge, games 4 through 6 will be live when we come back right after this. Quick break. Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Pro League Day 3 EMEA. Great start so far for Alliance, Nightmare, and Scars. The rest, well, they have an opportunity. They're only about 15 to 25 points behind. And much like we saw, obviously, we're switching over to World's Edge here, Tiff. Much like we saw in the North American broadcast for those that watched it on Thursday, FaZe was non-existent on Storm Point, had a dominant, well, decently existent, had a dominant World's Edge, was able to sneak into the top 2. So will we see something similar here today, or in your prediction, in your eyes, do you think we're going to continue to see it be so top-heavy with Alliance and Scars?
I mean, possibly. The fact is, World's Edge been competitive for so long. These teams are so well versed. They know these maps, every rotation. You can call out every little spec. If you know that the zone is pulling, you're going to be able to read that so quick. You know, hey, I've got to get there. I don't want to get like held up in any choke points. I'm avoiding Harvester in any way, shape, or form, as long as I don't want to rotate through there because it's the rotation of death. So yeah, I think if you didn't perform well on Storm Point, you're going to find a lot of success here because it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. You know, my thoughts on that, well, to be honest, if it was any other team, I'd say, yeah, there's a good chance that, you know, bottom 10 teams can bring it back. But the fact that, to your point, it's Alliance and Scars who have so much World's Edge experience, I think they're going to continue to inch it out. I think you're going to continue to see them stay on top. On the flip side, though, we do have Vexed Gaming, and not only Vex, but Aurora, team we had high expectations for coming in. They're in the bottom 10 teams right now, so they will have to step up here on World's Edge. Guess what? Gameplay is ready. The dropship is flying across World's Edge. Game number 4 for EMEA, day 3. Ladies, take it away.
Thank you so much, Fallout, and I'm excited to jump into World's Edge because I gotta say, no bias, Tiff, but World's Edge is obviously one of my favorite maps, and I'm excited to see how the bottom end of the overall leaderboard is gonna work into what some of these teams need to do to put themselves back on the board. Like what Fallout was just saying, I was expecting more from Aurora.
Hey, you know, I kind of was too, right? Like, they are so strong. And I think this is a moment where they maybe need to reassess, right? You went down through 3 maps. So now we're going into that second half of the series. We are moving on to World's Edge. It's kind of that fresh start. And we're getting that ring that's going to pull up towards the countdown landslide area. So a lot of these teams like Game Ward, Horizon, they're going to find a little bit of success because they're not going to have those large rotations. Whereas someone that might be landing Big Mod, the Dome, you're going to be traveling halfway across the map.
Yeah, and you know, actually talking about Big Mod, Lava City, etc. Scars getting all the loot in Big Mod is great, but usually when we see a squad land in Big Mod, they also have some real estate in Lava City, and that's actually going to be shared by Foot Esports. So they're not only going to have the loot in Lava City, they're also going to have the beacon. So you can expect an early fight maybe going down, depending on Scars wants to play this. If they want to stick to their overall patient playstyle, though, they may just prioritize rotating instead, like we've been seeing with a lot of these other squads that want to be able to work into the Newcastle and Watson compositions the best way that they can. Now going into World's Edge, though, Tiff, I have to ask you, looking at Start a Fight, looking at the fact that they're still sticking to the Crypto and Watson, are you expecting any compositional swap-ups for some of our teams now that we are on World's Edge?
It's kind of hard to say. Maybe 1 or 2 might elect to make that change, but we saw so many teams finding that comfort in that Valkyrie Horizon that I think if you're going to play that on Storm Point, you'll probably keep that team composition the same moving into World's Edge. Caustic's still very viable here on World's Edge as well, especially if you're going to have to bunker down in some of these buildings. I think it's going to prove fruitful. You see LFO Forever, they've still got Crypto, Watson, Valk, so it may be kind of few and far between, and we'll note it as we see it, but right now I think they're going to play what they're consistent with.
That's such a good point, because that could be the name of the game for a lot of these teams and what they are playing into their biggest comfort. And as you can see, LFO Forever, Light, let's just quickly take in the jump tower just to let everybody know, hey, you know what, we're here. It doesn't matter, though. There's no beacon where we wanted to go originally, where you usually see that building that's to the south of where LFO is actually rotating towards. Sometimes you do see a beacon there, and that beacon is spot over really early in the game by any teams that are exiting Skyhook, any teams that are leaving Fragment West. So with this quick rotation from LFO, they're looking to get ahead of the curve on top of any other teams because they want to be able to get that beacon, especially with the fact that they have Crypto. You can see some teams already getting ahead of the curve here too, already landing over here by Lava Fisher.
I kind of like this move, right? Game Ward pushing into Lava Fisher out of Countdown. You get the benefits of getting all of the shields from Countdown in that middle area, and now you're able to utilize that information, especially coupled with the Crypto drone. Well, I mean, if you can get out the door first, totally fine. No, don't block the drone inside, everyone, but at least you can open doors. You can do a lot of things with it, but you're going to be able to scout out your rotations, those nearby teams, and you can see right now, someone is looming nearby. The question is, are you going to be kitted out and ready? And if you're gonna run a shotgun wingman here, now I'm just having flashbacks of like bald skins and rank.
Trying to get a little head glitch too off to the side of the crate here. You know, that's usually what I'm used to seeing with the bald-headed wraiths I play in my lobby. Game of Drones, though, taking their time as well, already securing the real estate inside of this building, landing some shots with that G7 with the 3x scope and the purple extended light max. So great resources that Game of Drones are working off of, as well as playing a little bit split up here to secure this entire side of the train tracks. The beamage off the 30-30. See Vex getting a knockout to start a fight, but there's a lot of teams that are actually already in Lava Fisher, and this is nice to know because I believe Start a Fight getting away from Lava Fisher, they're just running with their tails stuck between their legs because Vex is holding the real estate on the other side of this train cart, where you can see right here inside of this building. So they were able to sandwich Start a Fight. Now they're going to be able to have extra loot to work with. You can hear the EMPs going off, but they're not going to be leaving this area anytime soon, because in the off chance that the circle continuously pulls towards Lava Fisher, they're going to have a nice advantage not only on the high ground, but with this circle clearing their backs.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite areas of the map, is that building. If you're going to be bunkered down over by Lava Fisher, having that real estate, although Vex is saying, you know what, we're moving on to bigger things. You can see right now they've got their eyes on this teammate trying to go. Gonna hit the geyser and just reposition, say, I'm out. Unlucky, just looking to make some connections and start a fight. Gonna go down at the hands of the Slayer, Tyler FPS, but not at the cost. Matafe going under some punishment right there, because you know everyone is looming around. And who better than to be looming in the darkness? It's going to be Reply Totem.
My face is buried in my hands because for some reason, they gave up the real estate for what? 10-15 seconds to chase after that one last member of Start a Fight. In that time, Reply Totem says, thanks for the free real estate. They're going to be able to move in. They're going to be able to pressure Vex. And now Vex need a reset, but the beamage coming in from Jazaz with the pizzazz. I mean, Reply Totem now backing up. They're going to be able to get the real estate again. With the Watson, this is exactly what works into their team comp. They're going to bunker down with the fences, but they have to look out for the other squads in the area, like E6, like the other squad that we tuned into earlier, who actually had the crypto drone flying around too, because that crypto drone is going to delete all the hard work that these walking fences went out of their way to set up.
Well, I mean, but in the defense, they are just some happy little fences. I love it. But the question is, where did Vexed Gaming go? Because you know all of the teams have begun their rotations into this Lava Fissure checkpoint area. And so that requires the question of, where is Alliance coming out of Thermal Station? They've had to have begun their journey. So they will be coming into the mix, and anyone that lands Southside as well is going to be making their way. And Reply Totem is going to be lying in wait in their fortress, just kind of peering out with that 2x4 on the R301. You have the mid-range distance, and now you just wait. What is that next step? We still have 19 teams left in the lobby, so it's still so healthy. And as we pull further into this zone, what free real estate will be available? Because there's bar none.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. There's so many squads that have already made their appearance over in Lava Fissure. Again, it's just control for these beacons, especially on World's Edge, that are play so useful as a part for a lot of these teams that are running these bunker down comps with the Watson, the Crypto as well. You can see Alliance holding onto the high ground, wondering if there's a beacon right to the south side of where Monde is, but you can see them getting pinged off by another squad that's taking control over the high ground closer to staging. There is a beacon in staging, so that squad, I believe, it's Foot Esports who makes that rotation in that direction, is going to actually be able to have that information already ahead of the curve from Alliance, who have the beacon behind them, but are they going to be able to get into that position where they're not going to be contested?
Hey, speaking of contested, looks like Fire Beavers is going to be taking out V2 off screen, so a lot of spiciness going around. Fire Beavers keeping it hot, and that sounds so funny. I just like that. It's so cute. I just picture little beavers on fire, which sounds horrible, but I like it. I like it.
You can see it as the Beavers having a hot streak, okay? Because right now they definitely need it. They want to be on fire. They want to continue on that domination, taking out another squad. That's 2 squads out of this lobby right now. 18 squads left. Alliance taking their time. We saw what they did before. We saw that they're willing to play the edge of the circle, take their time. Yeah, they don't have a beacon to their feet where you usually see it on the high ground on top of that geyser, but they're going to be able to overlook the chaos that is happening across the field from that geyser. What's happening in Lava Fissure from a high ground perspective. But Esports Esports that we were talking about before, this is the team that was taking some shots onto Alliance, but decided to back away, prioritize their positioning, with the Seer being the only one having a gold Evo shield. They're in a very vulnerable position. Foot Esports, you can tell, haven't been involved in a fight just yet. They're also playing this patiently, but this could bite them on behind for any other squads that are going to be able to sandwich them.
Yeah, this is not the Foot Esports that I was used to seeing that became so dominant, taking that God spot away in that end game and going on to win that match. I don't feel comfortable with 2 white shields and a gold shield going into that end game, but something that I saw that a NA team had done last week, that was going to be FaZe. I just want to hype on them. They had a gold shield on their team, but they shared it to conserve resources and to heal up. But now let's cut on over to Alliance right here on the top of this rock, getting fired upon and pressured from the right side. Yuki going to spot it out, call it. They do have that skyward dive available to them, but I just don't think that is going to be a wise move. They have a God spot on this team pushing into zone, and this is your moment to descend upon them and punish them for even trying to put some shots onto you.
I was wondering, the squad rotating from the southern side is going to be Corpa, but they do have the Valkyrie as well as a skyward dive, so I can expect them taking to the skies. They don't want to risk getting gate kept here by Alliance, who's been waiting there patiently on Pride Rock to actually contest any of the other squads that are rotating for that choke point. So with a longer rotation, Corpa says, all right, you can take that real estate. We're going to wrap around. They're going to get the information necessary for any of the other squads rotating here, and there's 2 squads in the area. Corpa saying, all right, we're going to take out to the high ground, but they're not in the circle just yet. They still need to inch a little bit forward, and they have to keep their eyes on the squad that's to their right as well.
And I think that was a really smart move for them. Sure, just stay on this bridge, keep that high ground, share your resources. You have 2 golds and a purple. You are kitted and ready to go for that mid to late game, and this is how you need to stay there. Just keep that trio alive and make sure that you have that ability. But Seer Exhibit going out to garner all of the information for those nearby teams because they're descending upon the trailer in front of them. They have the health advantage, and it's going to be spicy.
We got a listen and available. Let's see how this fight goes down here between Corpa and Nightmare.
Drop down.
Drop down. I drop. I'm fine.
Dropping on me.
One shot.
In the box, 100.
1 HP, fight.
Crypto.
Not crypto.
The box.
Log almost cracked.
You got this.
Oh, he's the last guy? I thought it's 2 more.
Yes, last.
One shot.
Thirst them.
On team. Maybe go to the ring if you can now.
Do it, yes.
Let him get the thirst. He got the thirst.
Go to the storm.
Yep. You should be fine, I think. Very smart. Step backing, yep.
Dude, we had bad comms and I thought it's still 2 alive. I would have played so much more aggressive.
I didn't hear any comms after I died. You can easily get banner, I think, and best staging.
Right is here,
I don't know, bro. Wait, 1 second.
What is top right, say.
What an intense end right there, too. You could hear from the comms, they were not happy to hear what went down, the pressure that the team was in before they lost out on one of their teammates. Fire Beavers now making appearance to this fight, and it is going to get chaotic real quick here, Tiff, because this is not just the third party, but I did see right behind Fire Beavers that there is a 4th party that could be coming up from behind them, wondering where Alliance is going to end up rotating, since now they're forced to play off the low ground before they make their way into Lava Fissure.
Hey, we were talking, Fallout was asking, what are we going to see when we go to World's Edge? Well, I guess it's no longer third parties. We got the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. The whole lobby is fighting at this point, and Fire Beavers looking to come out on top, wreaking havoc on Nightmare Esports, taking down Denze. And this is going to make, you know, OJ the kill leader. This is what they needed. We were talking Dark Horses. Sure, Impulse is going to fall, but they should be able to just kind of take down the rest of the teams, firing, doing all the damage they can to kind of see, hey, can we keep the pressure so Impulse doesn't get fooled? Because the moment your player gets fooled, it's going to be a lot harder to get that beacon back up and get him into the game. But the res going out right now, a little bit of calm before the storm, and if they can stick this, it's going to be a nice reset for them.
This is beautiful. Yeah, not only the reset real quick, the Evo shield swap, so that way you can get right back into that next circle, because while you're focused on trying to pop the med kit, you got to get moving. That circle is closing in behind you, and that's a lot of damage that's going to be fleshed out if Fire Beavers isn't ahead of the curve. I'm worried about what's waiting for them on the other side of that circle. I'm wondering if Alliance was able to already go for a quick rotate. Yes, they're underneath the bridge. This is what I was wondering, because they were going off the low ground originally, and this is a great spot for them to also circle keep the chaos of the fights that went down on that train tracks.
Oh, this is going to be spicy. Horizon going to get cracked and all the damage going out. I love the positioning here. Mandy using that grab lift to try and get LOS. It has a thermite ready and willing to go and just kind of wreak havoc. You are holding that edge, but this is going to be a punishment, right? It's a high risk, high reward because there are teams in zone that are going to keep a line of sight on you at all times. So make sure that you're securing your backside so you don't have that pressure from other teams. Meanwhile, Corpa going to fall as well. But the question is, how is Alliance going to get out of this situation? And can they take down Vex, who has the clear high ground advantage on them?
Yeah, they have the positional advantage. They got the wingman shots landing, but they're also out in the open for other squads to take some shots at them. So squads that are actually controlling the edge of that circle. And Corpa could not get out of the ring, unfortunately. They go down to the hands of Scars as Vex Gaming are backing up for right now. They have the information with the Seer being on their team. They're going to use that heartbeat sensor to call out where they're going to end up rotating, because with the squad taking shots at them from across the field, they don't want to lose out on the opportunity of maintaining this real estate and putting themselves in a vulnerable position.
Yeah, and this is always the most hard part of a map for Vex Gaming, right? They start off so strong. Their 3v3s, their micros are so fantastic, but the cohesiveness is going to have to make sure that they can take that trio and get them into that next zone. You can see just on your left hand of the screen kind of where it is pulling, and Alliance and Vex find themselves just on the outskirts, and Fire Beavers descending upon them as well, looking to get into that action. And now the question is Alliance going to be able to get out from underneath of that bridge? Because that is not where you want to get stuck.
This is going to be so hard. I feel like Vex could cut off their rotation, and they're going to be sandwiched between Fire Beavers and Vex. Tough situation for Alliance to play off of, but Hockeys, he needs to land these wingman shots. He's got the Digithreat, he's got the Skull Piercer. He can put in a lot of impact as he tosses up the Arc Star, tries to get out of the range of the exhibition. He's close to getting his own ult, but with the circle closing in less than 10 seconds, they need to start moving soon, whether it be from the low ground or if they're going to force their way into the high ground versus Vex Gaming, who also need to do the same rotation.
Yeah, but I like this positioning from them. It's that building, right, that we saw Reply Totem in after they kind of took it when Vex Gaming had left. But they're going to hit to the skies. Take that skyward dive. This is such a gamble. Alliance as well doing the same thing. The issue is there's literally no real estate, so you're going to have to find a clear spot. But you never want to be the first team to hit that skyward dive because everyone's eyes are going to be on you. Alliance looking for a safe space, but will they have found it? I kind of like taking the bridge. Sure, longbow shots are coming in, but you've made it out relatively unscathed as Reply Totem is going to fall at the hands of Vexed.
And they were dancing through these bullets like they were already part of the Matrix out here. Alliance getting able to secure the underside of Thermal Lava Fisher is so important. Game Ward now looking to capitalize right here too. We saw so many skyward dives, tumble black hole. Game Ward, all right, gonna be able to delete all of the chaos, all the space that they were denied, but they're stuck in between two squads here. You can see the shots coming in from the high ground, a nice little cheeky angle while trying to get out of the line of sight of the crypto drone.
Oh, this is going to be tough. They need to get the reset on to aimbot before people realize that they are a team of two, but I think they have just said, hey, you're a lost cause. They make their way into the lava, and they are just being fired upon from above in the form of IG. Graceful trying to get the reset there onto JMW, but not going to be able to stick it just yet. You do have that Nox Gas ult available to you, and you can see Noises right now. A great IGL just kind of scouting out that line of sight with the crypto. This gives you a full lay of the land because there are so many teams available, 9 squads remaining in such a small space. Being able to really control the area and anchor it down, utilizing those Nox gas traps is going to be a key to success. But the fact that Alliance was able to find open real estate and just evict whoever was out here, which was, I think, Game Ward, well done.
Yeah, they have a chance to breathe for right now before Game of Drones, where you saw on the feed with the Craver shot from Rondon, was able to pressure out IG too. So both sides of the circle getting contested, as Horizon also going to be able to take some shots. Lackluster ammunition though with the flatline right now, only working with 25 bullets. You see the ult from the Watson coming in clutch, negating the damage from that Arc Star. Horizon literally playing for their lives, but we know who exactly is on the other side of that grenade. Going to be able to pressure right through the walls. It's the Mad Maggie, it's Aurora who want to make their appearance.
And to make their appearance, they do, and I love the aggressive nature. They also have their Caustic ult available to them, which means you know that no one inside this building is going to be safe if you take that ult to the face. But look, so many more people trying to get in on the action. Horizon jumps in, 0-0, trying to stay alive. Mimu is going to fall. Urban and Zero trying to keep the dream alive. They take down Light. They're just decimating. Get that reload, descend upon them. going to be eliminated. The question is, can you get a good shield swap and get your health bar reset before the squads descend upon you? Because you are basically put a bullet on your bat. But Vex Gaming has made it to the end game, Vicky.
Oh, and E6 and Alliance, I think, took out each other with some assistance from Game of Drones. That was insane chaos. Look at the graveyard at their feet. What happened to E6 and Alliance? They got blown up. Game of Drones are going to walk away happily with this. They need the KP. 5 squads left in this lobby, and Game of Drones have not left the security of the buildings within Lava Fisher. I believe Vex is still out here. We have Rondon popping up with the rest of Game of Drones. IG, who's still alive, who were able to get a reset, as well as Aurora and Horizon.
Now, we did see a knock come in on the hands of Vex, but what the fact is, if Game of Drones is going to be cohabitating this area with them, they're not pushing. They're not pressed for that situation. But come on over to Aurora. They're fighting for that real estate against Horizon. All the damage going out, able to grab a knock, and that's going to be all they wrote for Horizon. Going for a quick reset is going to be Aurora. Now 4 squads remaining here in map number 4. The question is, will IG, will Vex, Game of Drones, or Aurora come out on top?
You gotta see, I mean, you do got the caustic in the hands of Aurora, and you see that ultimate accelerator being popped. You know that that Nox grenade is gonna be available and ready for that final circle. You gotta get ready for any of these other squads. IG rocking the Loba still. They've been rocking that black market on the other side of that southern circle for quite some time. See the Mad Maggie putting in some extra pressure. IG International looking to take their time, but they're taking a lot of damage while they're forcing their way into that circle.
Ooh, this is gonna be spicy. Sure, yeah, this is not what you want. But Aurora, this is what you want if you're Aurora, because you've been able to throw down those Nax gas traps. You can shoot them. You can essentially barrel crawl and hold off anyone that is trying to make a play for that. And sure, maybe you got a Kraber, maybe you want to put some line of sight on, but now Aurora has to make their way across this bridge into the fight, where essentially all of these teams are collapsing upon each other. So barrel crawl your way, Aurora. You can do that. You can see noises on the screen right there, taking a lot of damage, going to fall graceful as well within a centimeter of their life. Now JMW last alive, and you are just basically getting punished by every team in the lobby before you fall. Now 3 squads remaining. Aurora sitting incredibly pretty. This is a moment where you just bide your time and you shoot at every single other person. This is chaos.
Oh, Aurora have the game-winning position, though, right now. They are looking fantastic, but do they know that there is another squad directly underneath them that is Game of Drones? Everyone needs to get funneled eventually, but Aurora need to hold on to this high ground. Where are they going to rotate? Are they going to get on top of the rocks? Do they want to secure this KP? They see Vex getting a lot of these KP for them, and they get wiped out first. They didn't win the trade originally. Now they're forced to drop down, and Aurora are the winners after having the positional advantage and capitalizing off of having way more health in that last fight.
Vicky, my mouth is open. My jaw is dropped. Aurora played that so patiently. Barrel crawling across that bridge was the way to go. They played their time safely. Everyone was collapsing upon each other. You had IG, Game of Drones, Vex, and in the kill